Welcome, guys. We've had the qualifying session for the British Grand Prix, and it's time for some reaction, some big reaction. We had a championship contender hit the wall. We've got some huge performances from some young kids. Let's get to it. As ever, we always start with the Q1 session, and normally it's one to just brush over quickly, but this one had some drama. Not your usual suspects going out either in Q1. Franco Colapinto being the unfortunate one. A mistake on his final run, team bumping against the grass. He thought he was caught out by some wind. The team sort of saying not really too sure about that one, so they've got some head scratching to do on his side of the garage, which meant Alpine go out. It was Fernando Alonso, the last on the grid. He's been out qualified by his teammate Lance Stroll again. Well, we've seen that for a couple of races ago for the first time in 42 Grand Prix, and he's done it again, has Lance Stroll, just ahead of Fernando Alonso, up in 21st place. Sergio Perez, 20th. He'll be disappointed. He's normally had the better of his teammate Valtteri Bottas, not to be this weekend. Then comes Franco Colapinto in 19th place. Valtteri in 18th. Come on, Valtteri. Much needed result from him. We need him to step up now and be the Valtteri that we know he can be. Upgrades in that Cadillac, and hopefully we'll see that car actually perform, because they did just 2 laps around Austria last time out, so he'll be hoping for better in the race. Esteban Ocon, P17, that rounds off the Q1 session, but it was dramatic because George Russell hit the wall, and he thought he was nearly out of the session, but lucky for him, it was a small tap as he bounced through the gravel. He said, thankfully, at the end of it, wasn't too much damage or much damage to his car at all. And that is not really the explanation for what ended up not being a great session for George Russell, but got the scare of his life in Q1. Lucky for him, it wasn't a fast corner, but a strange place to go on. He said for the 12 years he's been racing around Silverstone, it's the first time that's happened to him on that corner. I don't think we've seen anybody at all really go and struggle around the corner and go off, especially like Georgia. They just seem to not go in. Huge amounts of understeer, just was hitting the wall in the end. So that was the start of, well, not to be a great session for him from there. On to Q2, and well, some close ones here again, wasn't it, in the end? It's Alex Albon 16th, Carlos Sainz 15th. He was disappointed with his lap, was Carlos. Felt there was a little bit more in it. I think he was really, at most, even with that little bit more in it, I think he was probably going to get ahead of Ollie Berman. I think the Audis and the Alpines were a few tenths still ahead of him, even if he did get a good lap in. So probably the most he could have hoped for was probably one position ahead of 14th. Upgrades in the Williams. They're going to have a B-spec car coming soon, so they'll be hoping that that can bring them good performance and get them more readily into the top 10. But I think they've got to be satisfied they're not going out in Q1, I guess, are the 2 Williams. Ollie Berman in 14th, beats his teammate again. We've seen that quite often. Nico Hülkenberg 13th, and he looked like he was enjoying it around here again. He goes well around here, but he's been beaten by his teammate again in qualifying. Pierre Gasly 12th. Bortoletto in 11th, and he was 30 thousandths of a second getting himself into Q3. Just missed out, nearly clicked out Arvid Lindblad in that Q2 session, Gabi Bortoletto. So really, really close from him just to get into that Q3 session, but it wasn't to be. And to the Q3 session, and it's the kid that's just been absolutely mega this season. He's done it again with a brilliant Q3 lap. It was his final sector, really, that just meant he pulled up the lap. He was only a tenth up on his fastest in sector 2, and if he didn't get that improvement in sector 3, it would have been Charles Leclerc on pole position, but it was Antonelli. He did it. He's pulled it out, the rabbit out the hat again. He's 2 tenths or just under or just over a tenth, you got to say, ahead of Charles Leclerc. And that's the level that he's had all weekend. He's kind of had that in his pocket as the Mercedes driver. Kimi's been brilliant. He's done it again. He won the sprint race. He's got himself on pole position. The perfect place is absolutely what he needed to do. And if he can get away cleanly, you can just see him running away with it. Ferrari's 2 behind him. Charles Leclerc in second place. You've got to be very, very happy. He was much happier with the performance. He said they've worked on things in qualifying, and this weekend it felt like he understood the car a little bit more and was able to get that little bit more, knew what to expect, and it sort of delivered then. And that kind of something that he's not had for a while, that feeling he said wasn't there, but much needed. He got the better of his teammate, Lewis Hamilton, who... Lewis lines up in third. He'll be disappointed because for all the world he'd had the better of his teammate, but it just didn't come together for him. In the final run, wasn't good. It was better, but not quite enough. He splits the two Mercedes. At one point, that looked like it might be difficult, but it wasn't to be. Lewis, a P3. He puts himself in a good position. The two Ferraris can now work together to attack that one Mercedes. I'll be hoping that they've got some race pace in there to throw a surprise. Let's see what they can do tomorrow. George Russell, P4. I think he'd be disappointed. He had a shocking final lap. He was half a second down on Kimi Antonelli as it was. It was his first run in qualifying, just over 3.5 tenths off his teammate, which opened the door for the two Ferrari boys, really. We've seen in Q2 that it was Russell first and second. Even in the first runs, it was Antonelli and Russell 1 and 2. In the second run, it just didn't quite come for George Russell. P5, Isaac Hadjar. What a session he's just had. He had the better of Max Verstappen in every session in that qualifying. So it wasn't just a one-hit wonder. He's done that over 3 laps, 3 sessions. And Isaac's just pulled it together. Better than Max Verstappen. He'd be absolutely buzzing with that one. Lando Norris, P6. A little bit disappointed. Upgrades come, but they're not enough. He needs to outdevelop their rivals, is what he said after that session. I'll be hoping he can take some promise from the race pace that we've seen in the sprint race weekend. See if he can do that in the main race. But... he's left himself with some work to do from there. Max Verstappen splits the two McLarens in P7. He'll be disappointed because he's been out-qualified by his teammate. We don't see that too often, but he did say after sprint qualifying he was just a tenth, the right side of a tenth, and got himself into P3. He should have really been 6th and 7th, and he's found himself in 7th place in qualifying. Probably just where that car is at, and it's actually a little bit disappointing. I thought the Red Bulls would be taking the fight to the Mercedes after we've seen they've got really good power, the upgrades that we're seeing in Austria, and they're a little bit like Ferrari. They've hit back down to earth, aren't they, after a big upgrade and performance in Austria. It's not quite there in Silverstone, and it kind of was expected to carry on here because they've got a good engine, and it's a high-speed track. But yeah, not quick around the corners. Oscar Piastri is in 8th place. Solid but not spectacular from him. 9th place, Arvid Lindblad, home race, another really good qualifying session from out-qualified his teammate by about 4-5 tenths. It was really, really good from Arvid Lindblad. So here we can be very, very happy with his session. The home boy coming back and pulled off a really, really good performance. Liam Lawson, 10th place. Just didn't get it together in that final run for him. But there we have it. That's the qualifying session reaction rundown. Well, for tomorrow, let's see what will happen. If Kimi gets away well, I think Kimi runs away with it. But with Ferrari, you can't count them out, and they've got strategy options that they could potentially play with. The issue here is that it's a one-stop race. We've seen the mediums hang out pretty well throughout the sprint race. The good thing was Ferraris were pretty good on their tyres here, unlike what we've seen in Austria. So we'll see what they can do, if anything, in the race. But it's pretty much a medium-hard strategy. So I'm not sure what Ferrari will do, but they've got to try something. Charles Leclerc will be hoping to stay ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. He needs a good race. We've seen this in Austria. He pulled off the lap, but lap 1, Lewis passed him and away he went. And he'll be hoping that there's not something similar here. But the two Ferraris can't really afford to be squabbling for too long, because that will really let Kimi Antonelli off the hook. George Russell in behind. He'll be hoping to beat the two Ferraris and limit the damage in doing that. Can he win tomorrow? There's a possibility. Safety car, virtual safety car at the right time can help him. We've seen virtual safety car or a safety car in every Grand Prix so far this season. So don't count that one out for a surprise. You've got to say a surprise win for George if that happens, but there's an outside chance of that. Isaac Hadjar in 5th place. He'll be hoping that he can just keep that going. The Red Bull's not quite at it. The ones to watch really will be McLaren's in the race. Can they show what we've seen in the sprint? Because they were brilliant. Both started fantastically well and then had really good race pace. Lando Norris held on despite managing everything, he was saying, and had fuel management as well to hold on to a podium and beat a Mercedes. So there's some promise and some good pace in that McLaren. So don't count them out just yet. Bad qualifying, but good starts. Norris will be hoping that Hadjar has the sort of classic Red Bull start we've seen from them so far, and there's all the chances in the world of that. And then he'd be all over the back of the Mercedes. Russell would be hoping that doesn't happen because that'll hold back his chances for a victory. The last thing he wants is to be stuck behind a McLaren. So yeah, lots of things to play for. The Audis will be looking for points at the moment. They are both boxed off by the 2 Racing Bulls. I'm sure they'll work together potentially. They had to be told off apparently after Austria with good racing between the pair of them. But that might let in Audi, especially with Gabi Bortoleto, upgrades on them. They seem to understand them a little bit better and good qualifying pace from there. So a battle for the points, really, I think it's probably with the Audis and the Racing Bulls. You can't count out Pierre Gasly. He's shown he's tenacious. He's got something about it when it comes to race pace, and he can pull off a result, so we'll watch out for that. But there we have it. That is the qualifying reaction. Lots to watch out for in the race tomorrow. Join me for the watch along, and there'll be some race reaction also with a quick video after that. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.